Francisco de Goya. Regarded as one of the most important Spanish artists of the late 18th and early 19th century. Over the course of his career, his style changed from lighthearted and jolly into a darker, more intense style. Born in 1746 and died around 1828. Around the age of 14, he began studying with the painter José Luzán Martínez. Later on in life, around 1774, the German painter Anton Raphael Mengs asked Goya to work on different tapestry or preliminary paintings for the Royal Tapestry Factory in Santa Barbara. This began the introduction to the royal workshops, which lasted for the rest of his life and spanned for about 4 ruling monarchies. For the Royal Tapestry Factory, Goya painted over 63 tapestries glorifying activities of the rich, the poor, the young, and the old. One of the more noteworthy tapestries that Goya created was the blind guitarist. However, the tapestry weavers were too frustrated at the complex composition and originally returned it to Goya. However, before simplifying it, he ended up creating the original design and incorporating it into an etching, making the largest print that he ever made. Through the next couple of years, he painted executives and their families, including the Count of Altamira. Pictured here is his work, the Condesa de Altamira and her daughter, Maria Agustina, made approximately around 1787. And by the time that he was the age of 40, Goya was appointed painter to King Charles III, and in 1789 he was promoted to court painter under the newly Charles IV. And later on, in 1793, France declared war on Spain. Around this time, Goya decided to travel to Cadiz and survive an extended period of illness. He emerged months later completely deaf, but able to return to Madrid in 1793. And by 1799, Goya was promoted by the crown again to first court painter and spent the next 2 years working on a large-scale portrait of family of Charles IV. This large, oversized portrait was noted to kind of represent how strong and unified the family was, having the family together in the foreground and Goya painting himself into the back left corner of the background. Soon later, Napoleon's armies invaded Spain in 1808. This included the mass executions of Spanish citizens who rose up in opposition to the invasion. However, Goya pledged allegiance to Bonaparte, who ended up taking the Spanish throne, who was brother to Napoleon. And in 1811, he was awarded the Royal Order of Spain. In 1814, Napoleon fell, and son of Charles IV, Ferdinand VII, he ended up declaring himself an absolute monarch, and Goya demonstrated his allegiance by commemorating Spain's uprising against the French regime in 2 paintings. The 2nd of May in 1808, depicting a brutal scene in the city center where Spaniards fought against the French-led soldiers, and the second work, the 3rd of May, illustrated the execution of captured Spaniards. Goya continued depicting scenes from the war in a culmination of 85 prints called The Disasters from War. And under Ferdinand VII, Goya had no royal commissions during the time, so he became isolated from political and intellectual life. Between 1820 and 1823, he completed a small private works in his countryside retreat, today kind of referred to as the Black Paintings. They referred to that because during this time, he depicted completely sinister and horrifying scenes with dark undertones. One of the most notorious works that you might have seen before is Saturn devouring his son. And shortly after, in around 1824, Goya retired to Bordeaux, and his final years were just spent there and in Paris until he passed away in 1828.